self-help. And then they got some leaves to cover their nakedness. Self-discovery. Self-help. Self-help. Now, that's where it leads them. So they covered themselves in leaves, but guess what? They were still naked. So unlike in the Garden of Eden, when the flesh first came alive apart from the Spirit of God, ever since the eyes of the flesh was opened, it should forever hide in shame behind the things his own hands have made to cover up. Man began to hide his nakedness ever since, living in hypocrisy, never wanting to be discovered, never wanting others to see them true and true, hoping that he will satisfy God's desires by himself. But no, unless the Lord covers a man, he is still exposed no matter how he tries. Unless the Lord builds a house, those that build it build in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, they wake up in vain that build it. It is vain to rise up early and sit up late, yet still eat the bread of sorrow. Every effort of man to help himself always leads in sorrow. Somebody needs God's help today and say, God, it is you I want to build up in me. I want to build your grace in me. I do not want to build on the flesh anymore. I want the flesh to indeed be where it belongs, in the grave. On the cross, he could not help himself. On the cross, his hands were fastened to the nails, with nails to the cross. He could not reach for anything, no leaves to cover himself. He was hanging on the cross, hands fastened to the tree. There he feels the deep shame for which he was forever hiding. There he was, naked on the cross. Naked on the cross until he was no longer ashamed. Until he lost consciousness of himself. Until he gave up the ghost and gave his spirit into the hands of him who is truly able to keep it. Is somebody saying Jesus on the cross? That is you on the cross. God wants you all hands nailed to the cross so that you can't help yourself. Both hands opened wide in total surrender. So that whenever you need help, the only one to whom you can cry is Eli. So that on that cross, he lost consciousness of himself and said, oh God, Father, unto your hands I commit my spirit. He lost consciousness of himself. He was only now conscious of God. Until he will give up his ghost to the one who is able to keep it from shame. Until he feels a dear need of the Father. And then in that moment of desperate desire for God the Father, he cried out, Abba, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. Because in that moment, he needed him more than ever. His hands were now tied. He couldn't help himself anymore. The cross has come to put an end to self-help. The cross has come to put an end to self-discovery. There is a greater than the flesh you must discover. That is the God that is able to walk on the inside of you if only you would give up the ghost. If you would die. If you would let the flesh die and die with Christ.